were you diagnosed with bipolar at some time?
Well, I don't know if they called it that then. I was called, they called me a manic depressant.
Do you mind explaining like a manic experience that you went through in relation to how it affected your work later on and things?
Well, yeah. Um, I think during the height of it, and it might have been some of the drugs I was using at the time, but my awareness was just very, 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 very heightened in terms of things I was listening to. I remember listening to Whitney, not Whitney, she wasn't around then. Minnie Riperton, an amazing, amazing singer, beautiful. She originally did all those kind of high notes that Mariah Carey does now. And I heard her soul. I could, beyond her lyrics, I felt I was getting a message from her soul, when her soul was telling me that she was going to die. So immediately I realized that I had to go and tell her this. And in my manic depressive state, I put on these things my friends later told me looked like the Blue Fairy walking up and down. Ballet tights and some stupidness, just looking very, very strange and very, very dangerous. But she was appearing at Symphony Hall in Boston, Massachusetts, and I just waltzed through. I don't know how I did it. They didn't ask. They just probably looked at me and said, he's either crazy or he belongs here. Walked into a box overlooking the stage, didn't pay no money, just waltzed in. And she had a little tambourine that had a Star of David on it, which was assigned to me because I'm a son of David, so she knew I was there, and she was singing to me as far as I was concerned. And I went backstage. I don't know how I got backstage, but I got backstage, went up to her little dressing room, knocked on the door, and told her husband came to the door, and he said, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Minnie Riperton's brother." And he looked at me like I was crazy. He said, "Tell her that her brother Ray is here." He went back and told her. She came to the door, and of course she didn't know who the hell I was, but for a split second, our eyes locked, and then she said, "Oh, shit." So I went, and they threw me out. The charade is over. They kicked me out. I was very confused. I went back to the hotel and wrote her a note. I don't know if she ever got this note, telling her what I had heard in her songs. I don't know if she ever got the note, but less than 5 years later, the woman was dead. I had a great time during the whole thing. I drove a lot of people crazy, but I had a wicked time. I know that I'm not about violence. I know that I'm not about evil. I know that I like having a great time. If I'm locked up in a loony bin, I'm going to have a good time.
Did you take medication at this time?
Yeah, I was taking lithium. I took lithium.
Did the medication affect you, like when you're trying to make work and
God,
things?
yes. It made it very difficult to act. In fact, I couldn't act on lithium until they found the right dosage for me. So it makes you very, very, not passive, but just emotionless. It's nothing as important as it was. Yeah, so I couldn't act on it.
So have you decided to come off that medication?
Well, I haven't had lithium since 1978.
Yeah.
Since my children were born. In a way, I know for myself, a lot of what I was going through was just a self-obsessive state. I was so busy focusing on me and what I needed to do and why I wasn't getting there and me, that when my children were born, I had something outside of myself that I had to think about and, worry about and focus on. So I forgot about being manic depressive. I still have my manic moments, and I can recognize that within myself, but my children, because I know that they need me, I hope, well, needed me definitely then, it sort of grounded me, and now I can deal with it.
And had you taken drugs and things before in the past?
Yeah, I had. So that's one of the reasons why the doctors had thought that might have been part of it. It might have been a trigger of a hallucinogenic that I had taken while I was running around the world doing hair.
What did you play in the hair?
I was one of the tribe members, and I was Wolf's understudy. He was the one that was in love with Mick Jagger and wanted to go to bed with him. There's a weird thing that happens when I'm on stage, like especially if I'm tired, or I don't really feel like being there. It was hard for me to keep concentrate. It was hard for me to concentrate. I tend to think that because we are super sensitive people, especially when you're out there in front of audience and you're giving, you're giving so much, you're also opening yourself up.
Yeah.
So I can actually sometimes feel or get things from the audience. It's almost like I feel like I'm stepping outside of myself and watching myself do this.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous because it means that I'm not totally connecting and totally in the moment with the audience. The moment that I'm watching myself, especially a performance, means that I'm not totally in tune and totally focused, because what I haven't done, I've become super aware of myself as opposed to forgetting myself
which is what I should be doing when I'm really focused on the performance.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the only way that I'm cognizant of that is because of my past experience before when I was on medication. But the thing is, I know I need to get a certain amount of rest. I know I'm more vulnerable when I'm tired. I turn into a grumpy old person. I get very, very depressed and very, very paranoid, and I have to say to myself, go to bed.
Do you think that as you've got older, bipolar has become easier to deal with?
Yeah, definitely, because I know what it is. When I didn't know what it was, when I was younger, it freaked me out because I didn't know what was wrong with me. In fact, I didn't know there was anything wrong with me until I got locked up into mental health, into the place.
Yeah.
I thought that the doctor said you must have taken some bad acid. That's what he said. Because this was like 1974, I think it was. First time it happened was 1974, and they didn't know everything about it then that they know now. I'm sure athletes go through that. That's why I'm sure Gascioni and all these other athletes are crazy as well, because you use so much mental ability and it eats away. Lithium is what keeps your states. So since I've been acting and using so much adrenaline eats away at this thing. When you're not taking medicine, you have to sort of like medication, you have to sort of like pace yourself. But I tend to think that what has made it easier as I've gotten older is that I can recognize the signs of when I'm, let's say, slipping into delusions, and I know what to do about it.
Yeah. Do you believe that people with bipolar can fully recover and live a productive and fulfilled life?
Well, I am. I am. And again, like I think I might have told you before, a lot of it depends on what it is. Mine was physiological. Mine wasn't psychological. But I tend to think that what happens is if it isn't clearly diagnosed, then there might be a lot of people who are physiologically affected who might feel, because we're so sensitive and so suggested, they might think that it is psychological, and that's when it becomes dangerous.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I do believe that, this is kind of like a weird statement, but I do believe that Jesus Christ was bipolar.
Yeah.
I really, really do, because when you read about the way he was able to treat those people with mental illnesses, I know that if I am in a room, I've done like some workshops, I can communicate with people who are supposed to be mentally disturbed because I understand where they're coming from. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not judging them. I'm not. Since I've been there, I know the causes of the synapses or the lapses in their attention or their attention span. I know it's not something that they're just putting on. It's something that, like, my attention span is that long. I have to make myself stick with something. Like my mind will be wandering, and I'll be trying to make my bed, listen to a record, clean the front room, and at this all at the same time I have to say, Ray, stop. Ray, stop. You meant to do this now.
Yeah.
So as most people might do something like this, I'll have 4 of those lines going at the same time,
so
and it takes but I have had to learn to focus. That's the key word.
Yeah,
focus.
totally.
Because if I don't focus, I don't get anything done.
If you could give one piece of advice to a young person with bipolar, what would it be?
Not to worry about it.
Yeah.
To relax, because you're not a freak. If anything, you're special. You have to get it diagnosed. You have to get your treatment, but not to worry about it, and not to worry about what people think or say about you, because it's a gift. Well, I'd say relax into it. Accept what it is that you have, and try to work with it with positivity. And if it is bothering you, then talk with somebody. Take your medicine, And I'd say find something to do outside of yourself. I'm not gonna, like I said, I think I said to you before, my children were my salvation because it helped me to be less self-obsessed. I had a reason other than my own ego for doing the thing that I'm doing. So I think look outside yourself, get friends, be with friends, stop living so much in your mind. Use your mind, but actually you take the things that are in your mind, write them down and use that as your creative basis, but don't spend so much time by yourself. The weird thing is, I like being by myself, but because I spend 2 hours a night yakking to an audience, by the time I get finished with it, I don't want to talk to nobody.
Yeah.
I don't mind. So if you balance, that's the thing. Get some balance in your life.